Hello, Ashton. How are you today?
I'm amazing. How are you?
Oh, I love that. I love that. Amazing. No, I'm amazing too. Even better now that I'm sitting here talking to you.
Awesome. Awesome.
So you seem to have like a great story. Like you started as an intern and then you took over the company? Like how
Yeah,
incredible is
yes.
that? So share with us that story. How did that happen? That's really incredible.
Yeah, so back, I believe probably around 2016 or 2017, I had really kind of started getting introduced into the world of online entrepreneurship, I guess, as it would say. And at the time, I was working in marketing for several agencies in Seattle. And then, growing up, when I was 16, I kind of started in the marketing journey. But around 2017 is when I came across a ad online about someone who was talking about consulting and how their clients had discovered consulting and really started journeying into it using this program from a company called Traffic and Funnels. And they were making $20,000 a month within about 90 days of working with this company, Traffic and Funnels. And at the time, it was blowing my mind. At that time, I did not actually think people made $20,000 a month. And so, but it was interesting because one of the people in the profile picture of this agency or this consulting firm called Traffic and Funnels, I actually recognized him because he was the worship leader for me when I was in church back when I was in like 8th grade. And his name was Taylor Welch, and he was the CEO of Traffic and Funnels and co-founder of it. And that's what really got me started into, okay, what is this world of online marketing? And so I started following this company and figuring out what this world of consulting looked like. And I knew I needed to be a part of this company so that I can learn and grow and so I could build my own career. And so I eventually got in actually as an intern for that company, Traffic and Funnels. And that's kind of what started everything for me. I really started off as the classic intern that just did everything that nobody wanted to do, did social media and organic, and eventually worked my way up into media buying and becoming a marketing manager for them. And I'd worked there for about 2.5 years and started at that point had been running their marketing department. And we were managing about $500,000 a month, and we were producing about 1.2 to 1.3 million. And I had learned so much as a marketer and as a leader. But then around that time, I needed to actually transition and move back home to where my family was, which is in Missouri, for some family health concerns. And so I ultimately had to transition out of Traffic and Funnels. And that's when I started my own business called Heman. And we had started growing that agency over the next 2 years from 0 to about 40 staff and doing about $5 million a year. And around this time, Traffic and Funnels was in a place where they were needing to grow and have new vision. And they had reached out and we had started the conversation of what would it look like if I came in and took over as CEO. And so, that's what happened about 3 months ago from the intern that had to grow and then leave, started his own companies, and then now back and took over as CEO of Traffic and Funnels, a company that started it all for me.
Wow. So you're running Traffic and Funnels right now.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it's been a wild journey and a wild ride from, obviously we had gone from 0 to 40 staff at Heman in 2 years, which was pretty crazy for me. But then jumping in now at Traffic and Funnels or Evans and Welch, which is the company that owns it all, now is 65. So that 0 to 100 plus people and staff in a few years was quite a leap.
Now, do you still have your Heman group?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So you're managing both?
Correct. Yes.
How on earth do you keep your sanity as CEO of two companies?
Ask me in a few more years, you know what I mean?
Because you're young. That's why you're so young.
Yeah, I think, right now I've got a lot of energy and there's a lot of me that I think I'm designed for stuff like this and this pressure. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs probably relate to that of just sometimes we crave that pressure and that intensity and that, 2 minutes on the clock kind of feeling at all times. And so right now it's just managing it carefully.
Yeah. So what do you do to help manage your stress? Because regardless of how much you love what you do, let's be honest, right? You're always going to be thrown different things your way. Some of them are going to feel like thorns in your side, right? And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, why do I have, you've got to deal with a lot of little things that, you may not want to be dealing with, so what do you do to get back to that place of like, okay, I love what I'm doing. You know what I mean? This is going to pass, tell me what you go through.
So I think, I would say one, I don't know if I've even reached that place of, I know what I'm doing. Everything's feeling great. I feel like lately I've been in a constant state of learning new things that I can do better and adapt at. But I would say overall, as a risk mitigation strategy, for me, almost everything outside of being a CEO is delegated. So even like my food is prepared by a chef that is here locally, and then my personal trainer is the one who organizes what that person's cooking, when they're giving it to us. I have a personal trainer that I use when I go to the gym to show me what to do. I have a mindset coach that is helping me soundboard off my thoughts consistently. I have an EA that takes care of almost all of the day-to-day mundane tasks that I don't think about, like scheduling a haircut and all of those kind of weird things that is just life. So for me, it's been, if it is not something that is operating a business or moving us forward, it must be delegated to someone else. And not because they're not important, but for me right now, it's not important to me. And so how can I make what's not important to me that is still important to someone else? And that's really been the game plan of trying to make sure my mind is consistently focused on what it needs to focus on.
So your mindset coach, which I'm so happy to hear that you have somebody, because that's so important. That's what I do.
Oh, amazing.
So what does your coach tell you? What are some of the things that your coach has shared with you that you didn't know before, and that you're like, oh my gosh, where was this information, 5 years ago?
Yeah, for me, it's been, she's been an amazing, I would say, soundboard and filtration system for me. A lot of the thoughts and ideas I have or things that I'm considering is stuff that I've always kind of known is there, but you kind of almost always need someone to tell you that what you're thinking is normal or is okay and is right. I actually typically will have a more dangerous tendency to be more of the person saying yes all the time and really trying to help serve everyone and make their goals and visions come true. And so someone who allows me to just think through what I'm thinking and ask myself and bring me back to my core center of strategy of what needs to be right for the business or needs to be right for my personal life. And also just helps me problem solve on the areas that are on my day-to-day basis. So it's like leading me through a structured problem-solving question and answer to myself, which was kind of something that I think was really important for me when looking for a mindset coach. And you probably see this all the time, is that like a lot of people, or some people in my place, it's not that we need fixing. It's not things that are broken, but we don't know how to properly navigate our own thoughts in a correct, objective way. And the mindset coach has been absolutely vital for me to do that, to make sure I'm being objective in the way I'm thinking about my questions or the challenges that are in front of me.
That is exactly right. And so for those who have not had the opportunity to work with a mindset coach, and when you're talking about their thoughts, can you give like a small example of something that just so that people can get an idea of what you're talking about? Because most of us don't know what we don't know, right? And there may be others out there that may be having these thoughts and you're like, geez, I'm not sure what he's talking about. So can you elaborate a little bit more about that? Yeah.
So I think so our companies, especially in Heman, has always really been on a trajectory for growth and expansion. We've always been hiring. We've always been growing. And so when you build a culture like that, especially in a company that can have a lot of young people, most of the people in my company are very young. And so when you have that, you're going to often have staff and team that are in places that they've never been before. trying to grow into a role that they've never had to have before, or deal with challenges they've never had before. But in a young, aspiring entrepreneur-like culture, everyone wants more. Everyone wants that next step. And so some of the difficulties you can face as a CEO or the leader is managing that expectation within a team that, hey, not every 6 months will you have a promotion or a raise or something like that, right? Like, this is the real world, and we've got to grow a real business. And so being able to have the mindset coach of so I pay for my team, my leadership team, to actually use her as a mindset coach. And so she really helps me start to really understand more of how my team works and operates internally, how they make decisions, and then actually breaking down a correct strategy from my end that would cast the vision to them correctly and allow them to understand it and feel heard and accepted and excited. So being able to do that with me, where now I'm able to craft an actual communication plan to my team that they will have what they need, which sometimes it's just they don't have clarity and they need to know what is actually happening. And so she was really able to help me craft that kind of next vision plan to my team that's really crafted towards the way they think and the way they operate.
That's phenomenal. That's really, really amazing. So in terms of, because we're all about happiness here, how has this piece of your life, going from an intern, you built your own company and now you've taken over and you're now CEO of Traffic and Funnels. How has that played into you, and your state of happiness?
Yeah, it's interesting. Happiness, there was a quote by Naval Ravikant that I always really liked around happiness. And it was, the idea was that happiness is peace in motion, and then peace is happiness at rest. And so for me, it's kind of that idea of I'm a very mission driven guy, and what do I want to do on the world and the impact I want to have on the world. And so for me, that happiness is at least in this season represented in the progress or the action that I'm taking towards that peace, towards what I believe that my ultimate impact on the world is and what I want it to be in my mission. And so my peace has been carried through that because, taking on these companies, technically now it would be 4 companies that are underneath my operation. And that's so stressful. And it's a lot. It's a lot of challenge and a lot of obstacles that, I've never had to face before. And so peace for me actually has had to come a little bit deeper in the understanding and knowing that I am progressing towards what I feel like I am on this earth to do. And that has been what it is for me, is just that peace in motion. And then eventually the happiness coming to rest is where I'll feel the other side of it. But right now it's just knowing I'm doing the right thing and what I believe I'm supposed to be doing.
Love it. And I have not heard that quote. My favorite one, which is kind of very similar, is peace. It's not about being in a place where there's no trouble or hard work. It's about being in the midst of those things and still being calm in your heart.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's kind of like the same thing, because people feel like, they want this peace, but that's not realistic, right? It's all about having that calmness in your heart in the midst of everything that's going on around you.
Absolutely.
So that's really great. That's really, really great. Yeah. So what's next for you? You've got all of these things going on. What's next for you? What's just going to keep doing the CEO thing for a few years, or?
Yeah. So I mean,
you have to have more plans.
Yeah. In the short term, it's absolutely being the CEO to these brands. Right now, it's pretty exciting. We're about to do some pretty large moves, and I believe that it's going to really help the entrepreneur community as a whole. I have a really big passion towards business builders and entrepreneurs, And, we're really making some big shifts internally inside of the traffic and funnels and SM brands that I think are going to really impact a lot of people that would have never normally been able to access the level of trainings that we've had over the years will now be able to. And so I'm really excited for that right now, and then continuing to build our advertising agency as one of the premier advertising agencies in the direct response space. But ultimately, over the next several years, we're looking to engage more in the anti-human trafficking movements and utilizing our resources both at our advertising companies and inside of traffic and funnels to further that mission. That is my core mission that I believe I'm on this planet for, is to help fight that disease. And so everything I do is really, really towards that mission.
I love that. So is there a specific nonprofit that you're teaming up with, or what does that look like?
So right now it's Operation Lightshine, which is actually a local 501c3 or charity here in Nashville that works with not just rescuing and the brute force, but actually training local law enforcement how to deal with this and how to find perpetrators inside of the human trafficking realm, which is absolutely one of the biggest problems. Is you can rescue people, but right now actually one of our biggest problems is law enforcement not being equipped or not having the desire to actually help remove human trafficking.
Seriously.
Yeah, it's really depressing and sad actually to look at it, but it's unfortunate. There's a lot of people high up in offices and elected officials that are paid very handsomely to try to make sure that still exists. And so I want to help make sure that stops.
Wow. So I was just, I've been traveling a little bit more than normal, and I've noticed in airport restrooms, there's signs up for human trafficking. And I think that's great. Guessing, and I don't know much about the inner workings of it, obviously. I'm guessing that not many people that are being human trafficked are in an airport.
Mm. Yeah, it is pretty wild. It happens in all different kinds of styles.
Right, but I figured, how come you don't see those in McDonald's restrooms or, right? I don't know. It just made me think of that, because it dawned on me. I was like, if somebody's, doing this, you're probably not flying around the country.
Right.
It's a little costly, and, how are they going to have identification, that kind of thing. But in any event, I think that's really incredible that you've got that mission, because at the end of the day, we all need a purpose that we're striving toward, where we can serve others. And I know it sounds like that's how you are. I'm the same way. That's where you find a lot of your peace. And why am I doing all of this?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
why am I
absolutely.
doing all this every single day? There's got to be like a bigger purpose, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. There's a lot of easier things to do than try to run your own business. If you just want, if you want to just not worry about bills, there are much easier things you can do.
Absolutely. There really is. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with the audience before we wrap up?
No, I mean, I would say, obviously a big purpose of your podcast is helping people center in on that happiness, right?
Yes.
I think the only thing I would have to say, and in the entrepreneur space, this question gets brought up a lot around the idea of finding happiness, finding fulfillment. The only thing I would say is that your happiness is select to you, and it's what you want it to be. I think we're often too pressured to be shown what is happiness for everyone else, and what does everyone else think your happiness should be. Should it be to make a lot of money or a little money or average money? Should it be to have a family and kids? Should it not be? Should it be to travel the world, or should it be to stay home? I think the only thing I would say is really important is that in this journey of life, you only get one, and you're the person who gets to choose what makes you happy and what makes you fulfilled. And so don't let other people rob you of it, because you'll wake up one time, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, realizing that you missed it and you can't get it back.
Yeah. And that is heartbreaking to me, to think that people can throw away that many years of their lives. And just to add to that, looking at all of these posts on Facebook and Instagram of all these people and this and that, like if you're comparing your life to them, please don't, because I promise you their life is, they're hiding behind all of these smiles of the pictures that they're posting and all of that stuff. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Ashton, it has been such an honor to talk to you today, and, just keep going for it, because you obviously have it all figured out. So that's really important.
Not quite, but I'll keep trying.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you
Awesome.
so much.
You too. Bye.